Tickets for the green industry's largest trade show and event, Equip Expo 2023, are now on sale. Brian has arranged a way to help you save 50% on registration for you and your entire team. Simply use promo code Brian at checkout to save half off, and we'll see you this October, the 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll also provide you a special link in the show description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys, and good morning. Well, super special episode that we got going on for you guys today. We have episode 500 for the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, and we couldn't be more excited to bring you guys just a fun 500th episode special. So joining with me is my beautiful wifey for lifey. What's up, babe? How you doing?
Hi, good. I can't believe it's a 500th episode. Everybody's like, hey, are you doing something special for your 500th episode? And I said, is it our 500th episode? I think Bethany brought it up.
She did.
What would we do without her?
She really did. She goes, hey, so what do you guys have planned for the 500th episode? I go, I don't know. I said, when is that? She goes, in a week? And I said, oh. I said, what are we at? And she was like 497 or whatever. And I went, oh, we probably should do something. It's probably a pretty big deal. I guess, I mean, it's one of those things like, I've heard many people say, like, set the goal, make the plan, forget the goal, work the plan. And it was never we're going to, start the podcast. And the goal was, just do 100 episodes or 200 episodes or 300 episodes. It was just, hey, just stick to the schedule, man. Stick to the plan, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, release a podcast episode and make sure that there is something encouraging out there for so many of you guys out there that are, growing a lawn and landscaping business. And, simultaneously, I guess, just share our story, what we're working through that week, that month, that year, maybe sometimes that day, if we're honest, like, we've had a wild week here, in the Fullerton household. It's just wild. I mean, there never seems to be enough human power. Never seems to be enough financial power. It's like you always need more.
We're laughing so we don't cry.
It's just a wild week, man. And maybe we'll get into some of it. Maybe we won't. But 500 episodes. What's your thoughts? You got to carry the team for a minute. I got to get a sip of I'm on my second, if not third, energy drink for the day. It's been a day. It's been a week.
I think it's crazy. It was so weird. It was such a weird thing to me that when you came home and you're like, I'm going to start a podcast. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, what does that look like? We did the whole, you have to think when you first started, you had the studio in the garage.
Well, we wanted to build a studio in the garage. It was this, it ended up being kind of a Frankenstein, kind of a didn't really work out studio.
It was a great idea.
I was so excited about it because, I wanted a studio. Mm-hmm. And, it ended up not working out because I was gonna build a whole room, 2x4s, frame it in, and then I was like, wait a minute, like we live in an apartment, like in a condo, like probably not the best idea.
No.
Then it kind of like backtracked, and I was like, fine, we'll just put up panels of plywood.
Yeah, you made these giant walls that you could move around, basically.
Yeah, and it was a pretty cool little studio, and it's like if you've ever been into a production room or studio of any capacity, like. Or even like a news, what you see in the news, like what's facing the camera. What's the best way to say it? Like
what you see on camera versus like what's behind the camera.
Yes, it's totally different. And some people get that. Some people know that. Like behind there's, you'll see like Jimmy Fallon or something, some late night comedian, and he'll show like the whole, the whole set. Yeah. And you got these 3 or 4 huge, cameras are $200,000 each, like the ones that you see at sporting events, and the people, there's production managers and producers and all these different people on the show. So
what you see looks so cozy. Like it's a couple people sitting in a couch.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
It looks flawless. But if you turn the camera around and point outward, it's like a whole lights and trusses and crazy stuff. And
because it was in our garage, we didn't have anything in there. Now it's jam-packed full of stuff, would probably be fine. But we had to get sound dampening because the echo.
The panels.
Yeah. And you ended up putting like fabric on top of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when you opened our garage, it was like What are they doing in there?
We've met many of our neighbors walking by because we had the studio open, and we would be just podcasting with the garage open because that's kind of weird but kind of fun. And people are like, what's going on in there? I'm like, we have a podcast. Oh, I have a podcast too. Or
there's quite a few people in here who do social media well. I'll say well. A lot of people do social media, but
it's really weird. It's if you would have told somebody, they all have Teslas. They're all as pretentious as us, probably.
It's just so crazy to me,
people.
like thinking where you started, and now we're sitting. If you guys can see where we're sitting, we have baby number 2 coming. We're living in a 2-bedroom apartment, and we're sitting in our daughter's nursery that's jam packed now, full of 2 kids stuff. And it
just goes to show you don't need it all.
You don't have to have it perfect. Like I think so many people get ready to get ready.
Be as successful as us.
I mean, yeah, Brian, like I know you won't say it, but like this is a very successful podcast. How many downloads do you have?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It's in the millions.
It's over 2 million. But then they changed it. They moved the cheese. So somehow how they do, I don't know if it's like unique downloads versus maybe like replays or something like that. I don't know, but we were at like 2.1 or 2.2 million downloads. And then Mr. Producer shared a screenshot about a week ago and it said 1.95 million. And because I know there's a button you can toggle about 6 months ago on the hosting platform, and it changes like, I don't even, dude, I have no idea. Don't know, don't care.
Well,
I haven't looked at the
saying,
monthly statistics in months. I don't know. I don't care.
I'm very proud of you for like, when you said you wanted to do this to now, like I didn't expect it to be as impactful as it is. And I would say that you have more of an impact with this podcast than you do with the YouTube channel, which we always thought the YouTube channel was like
the bread and butter,
the big thing, like the big audience, but it's not. Like if the people, you guys listening.
Well, here, time out. Let's hear from today's show sponsors, and we're going to go into it a little bit more, because if not, Mr. Producer will kill me because we can't interject an ad later. So he runs the pre-roll ads. So if you guys ever hit the podcast and hear the ads first, that's Mr. Producer trying to salvage our train wreck of a podcast, which seems to be many other people's podcasts out there, because we're not podcasters. We're just lawn care people. Mm-hmm. We're just landscapers. We're contractors. We're just a young, dumb college, not college, but young, dumb couple.
Uneducated.
I can't even get it out. Just trying to figure out life. We're not, we're in the top 200, top 250 with Barbara Cochran or whatever her name is. And the Gary V's in the top, 10 and Andy Frisella. It's like, I'm in the top 100,000, with Andy Frisella. Like I'm at 100,000 and he's at 2. But we're both up there,
Basically BFFs at this point.
Yeah, like when you say like top 200, list, it means you're number 200. If not, you'd say I'm top 50, Mm-hmm. So it fluctuates. But in all sincerity, it would be fun to maybe talk about why we started the podcast, how we started the podcast, and I don't have any notes here. Of course, we'll probably leave something out that's like, I can't believe we didn't share that. But let's go through the lineage of it. If you guys want to celebrate with us, it'll just be a fun little podcast episode here. It has to be, because we have food coming, which is a great reason to shut down any podcast.
It's sushi.
That's
and
what we do.
Kind, because I'm pregnant. But.
Yes. But that being said, no baby just yet by the time you guys listen to this real time. But if you guys are praying people and you guys want to send an extra prayer of comfort for both of us and making sure that baby comes when baby's supposed to, we would appreciate that. But you want to hit the commercials really quick? Let's hear from today's sponsors. Let's hear from the show announcements and everybody that's still partnered with the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. If I haven't offended you just yet, I think you're along for the ride and you're going to stick with us long term, and we super appreciate that. So let's do this really quick. Let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer. We'll come on back in just a quick minute.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional, weekend warrior, or home and garden enthusiast. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, chute blockers, snow removal tools, and much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Be sure to check out the Ballard-Inc.com website to help dominate and elevate your business this season. With over 23 years selling accessories and 30 years in the business, we're sure we've got something you can't live without. And new to 2023, we have the Hybrid Gold Blades. These are the most versatile, longest-lasting blades on the market. Check Ballard-Inc.com often, as there's new gear being added all the time. Don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10%. Stay safe and keep grinding. Ballard.
All right, guys. Well, let's hop right back into it here. Always a good time having the beautiful wifey for lifey. Is that trademarked? Is that copyrighted? We have won some lawsuits this year, so
Okay,
we do know.
talk about that yet?
Nope, we never will. We never will. If you guys only knew, if you want to be a social media influencer or start a business, man, you better leave some margin in your life for lawsuits and lawyers. We want a significant situation in case, significant and very financially expensive. I don't know what to say. Lawsuit, some different things there. Can't talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. Maybe, I'm sure we could talk about it.
Can I talk about it?
No, we were not. This is a David and Goliath situation. It took about 15 months. I'm not even bringing anything. It was about our social media brand, to be honest with you. And it was a David and Goliath situation. And we won literally against all odds. And Liz goes, well, let's talk about it publicly. I go, this is not one of those things that you go and rub the enemy's face in the dirt. Or this is not that kind of scenario. So for any of you guys that are out there, like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, man. Like, I know I try to be positive and encouraging. And I know I scream at you guys half the time on the podcast because it's like, I want you guys to win more than anything. I want us to win more than anything, of course. And within reason. I don't want you guys like get to the finish line and not have your spouse there. That's not winning. You guys know that. But like, we deal with so much stuff behind the scenes. Like we're not impervious to any of the stuff out there, like financial struggles. I mean, just last week we shelled out 15 G's in payroll and mulch. And it's just like, you see the bank account fluctuate like crazy, and I'm just like, wow. And then, you have good days, you have bad days, you have fighting days with your husband or wife, and the guys show up, guys don't show up, equipment works, equipment doesn't work. And you're trying to spin 1 plate, 2 plate, 5 plate, some of you guys. And, we're like real people, and, it is kind of crazy, our life and the social media thing and, the lawn care company, which is growing like crazy. We've had a good couple of weeks and, sales are up. But it's been wild, man. And we can't talk about the somebody wanted my brand and it was like, put you out of business, long story short. And I said, over my dead body, obviously. And we won. And it was the company. Like
multi-million-dollar company.
Like 9 figures.
It's not anybody even in the lawn care.
No.
Because I don't want speculation.
Totally,
it was like so it wasn't even somebody in the lawn care business.
No.
It was actually support for small business. It's like.
Stop already, dude. They're like, almost 9-figure billion-dollar company, and they wanted me. And I was like, dude, no way. I'll throw everything at it. And we did. And we won. And some people are like, well, why aren't you building the house yet? I'm like, because I have hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up in fighting something potentially. Like, thank you for the support. And people are like, Brian's 10, so you can. People are like, Brian's 10 code. I'm like, yeah, really appreciate that. So you can buy a Lambo? No, because I have a fleet of attorneys behind the scenes.
Like real ones, like California ones.
Like these are
like New York ones.
Like these are bulldog people on both sides, and it's wild. So like, let's go back to the beginning of the podcast, because we could go 100 different avenues on this. It is a celebratory 500 podcast episodes. I think Paul Jameson, by the way, side note, still really good friends with Paul. He still returns my phone calls at least. I mean, not everybody does. It's been a few years with some people, but until somebody needs something, right? But you're a good friend when you call somebody and you don't need something. That's called being a real friend. Paul still calls me when he doesn't need something. He just says, hey, and many of you guys listening in do, and a lot of other people, of course. But he's almost had 1,000 podcast episodes, I believe, too, which is pretty cool for somebody who's pioneering a lot of this stuff out in the green industry space.
Like the big reason that you even have this.
He is. Well, let's get into it. Let's go. Let's take it back. Well, if you guys want to stick with it for a little bit, and you guys got a few minutes, we'll go down the rabbit hole of all things Fullerton Unfiltered. The whole podcast, though, it really is like another extension of the Brian's Lawn Maintenance brand, right? Which, whatever that is, that somebody really wanted. And that was worth a lot of money. And I said, okay.
We should probably, I wonder if we'll buy it.
Yeah, like Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast got offered $1 billion for his channel, and he told him no. He totally should have took that based on all the stuff going on right now with his production company, and that's a whole nother story. What an L that was or could have been. Maybe, who knows? We'll see. But any which way, what happened was with the YouTube channel. I love the YouTube channel. We grew it. It's still growing. Nobody comments on it anymore. I got a video out that's been out for 2 hours. There's 3 comments. We used to get 300 comments. Yeah, that's not a good sign. So if you guys want to engage and build community on the YouTube channel, I'm pouring it out there. It's just the cheese has moved with YouTube the last 5 or so years. I mean, with the advent of TikTok and podcasting, YouTube's got to be feeling it, because I know so many people's channels that are just, they're flat or they're down, or the pie is so diluted that it's hard to really, unless you're a sensational channel like a Whistling Diesel or something, or blah, blah, blah. The channel's still growing. It's healthy. We still get, million views and people are still subscribing. But unless you're mowing tall grass and the algorithm really wants to, show you to the rest of YouTube, we just have our core pocket of people that follow, the 100, 200,000 people. And that's solid. It's awesome. It's fun. But outside of that, I had so much stuff to say that had changed our life. And you can interject at any time, but who we are today is not who we were. We've said this many times. Who we are today is not who we were 6 years ago, living in just 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, 3 years ago, we were living in the apartment, but 6 years ago, we started YouTube. Yeah. 3 years ago, we were in a different apartment. We were 100, almost, 60, 80 grand in debt. We borrowed about 100 grand. And our annual income was $50,000 a year, $60,000, $70,000 a year, maybe combined. Maybe. This was 3 years ago. This is 4 years ago. This is not. And people are going to see the home or the house or the numbers or this or that. It's frankly, dude, who cares? We're just regular freaking people. But I will tell you, I still 100% have my heart in the green industry. And I know it's a successful opportunity. It can be a successful opportunity for anybody who wants to work it. But we wanted to get this message out. Let's just fast forward through some stuff. We wanted to get our message out. I wanted to talk to you guys. There's things I had to say about borrowing money. There's things I had to say about good debt, bad debt. There's things I had to say about gas versus diesel. There's things I had to say about how to work together with being effective with your spouse when you are working these crazy hours. There's a lot of stuff that you and I don't say get off our chest, but we wanted to pour it out there. And people were asking hundreds and thousands of questions, how do we do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? And I'm well, you can't really do long format content on YouTube. It's just not really the platform for that. Pouring into you guys for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Telling the Stein Erickson story. I had 50 people DM me that day saying, and once every quarter I drop a bomb episode, and maybe from the audience, that's what you guys say. And people are man, I'm a grown 50-year-old man and you're making me cry plowing snow at 2 a.m, or it's 90 degrees out. I'm shedding tears. I had to cut the mower off and take a minute, regain my composure. And we don't take that for granted, because there's so many relatable heartstring stories along the way with the podcast. And I wanted to get these stories out there. And you can't tell a 2-hour story about going to the. It just
doesn't translate the same.
So what happened was in 18 or 19, whatever it was, Paul launched his podcast, and he's got his own story. It's an awesome story about why he started it. And I said, dude, I want to do a podcast. I always, I've been watching Gary Vee, listening to Gary Vee for about 3 years. Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, and Keller Williams' book, The One Thing, and Gary Vee's Crushing It, and the 10X book with Grant Cardone. Those 3 books added $50,000 a year to my income for the last 5 years. I mean, those per year. Those books are, it's all I needed to read for me personally to take our life, our media business, and then our lawn care business to the next level. That's all it was. And I just had to execute. And I just really enjoyed those books. And Gary Vee's podcast. And then Paul starts a podcast. And I said, I know Paul. I said, Paul said, he's yeah, dude, if you want to launch a podcast, I'd help you. And remember in 2019, it was TikTok or podcasting, though. This is a pivotal fork in the road.
Yeah, I do remember.
Because B&B and Paul were both going at it, quote unquote, going at it in a good way, friendly competition.
On TikTok.
TikTok had just came out. Or did TikTok come out in the COVID year or the year before COVID?
I think it was before COVID, but it got really big during COVID.
I think Gary Vee was talking about, for 6 months, it's going to be a big thing. And then the world got shut down. So everybody, including all the health industry, the nurses are all dancing. If you're a nurse and you're dancing in the hallways, encouraging people to get the clot shot, I don't think that is an effective use of your time. Or if you're, the mayor of New York eating a Big Mac sandwich or whatever burger that was, and we'll give you a free hamburger helper meal if you go get the shot.
Big Mac sounds really good right now.
Finally lives in a low moment. But this is like the insanity of 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that we're realizing now, like you were forced shut down. They're like, you can't work, all this wild stuff. So people were doing TikTok, and I said, I think I'm going to start a podcast. And all my friends were like starting TikToks, and maybe if we would have did TikTok, we'd have 1 million followers. I don't know. But I was like, well, as a business person, and if I did want to monetize this thing, I've got some great brand sponsorships and partnerships and friends. Maybe they'll want to run ads on this thing and help support it. I was like, hey, let's start a podcast. And
it's also something you could do. Like, 'cause we knew we would be starting a family. Like, you could podcast at 2 a.m. You could podcast it. Like, it just seemed...
Well, and logically, like, and not to give you guys a whole lineage of podcast world, but like, everybody's on the mower 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, my friends that are like lawn care bros and girls, like, they're not going to be watching TikToks. No offense. I'm like, we're mowing 9, 10, 12 hours a day. Last thing I want to go home is watch somebody dance. Like, I forget the girl who's like the biggest TikToker, Charlie D'Amelio.
Oh, Charlie
D'Amelio.
Something. I forgot about her.
I forget her name.
How she's doing.
She's like done being a TikToker. Last I heard, yeah, because
she probably doesn't need to.
It's
anymore.
a stupid career choice long term. I mean, you got to build so she probably built a brand and a business around it, and is selling something else, right? But she's a good businesswoman, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't want to do TikTok. Let me talk to my friends that are, on the mower for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and give them the sauce, right? So when did we launch the podcast? It was 2019, right? Because it was the year.
It was.
No, it was 2020.
It was our. Well, no, it was 2019 because it was our first.
LAL.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
started doing all these new. We're still doing like new things. We have a new thing happening so much that we don't even realize like your tours are new.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Paul stayed after LAL. I flew him up here. I said, hey, I'll buy you a ticket and
that's when we did our
feed you Wendy's
episode on his podcast.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had him over to the house. He helped me unbox like $1,500 of audio equipment. He's like, dude, you bought this in September. It's November 12th or whatever it was. I was like, dude, this is so intimidating. And like knowing what I know now,
it was super intimidating. Looking back and like, look at it.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid, folks. It's like turning on your iPhone and
well, to be fair, Marty, Mr. Producer, makes it really simple.
Okay, that's fair. That is part of the lineage of like how we got here. And we won't do this whole epic story, but Paul showed us how to do this thing. I think the first episode, I think we unlisted it because it was pretty rough. But we're like, he's like, say something, and we're like, hello, friends in the blogosphere.
Hearing myself in the
and he's like, and he has a background in radio, so he's like,
no dead space.
Yeah, he's like, no dead air. He's like, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. Like, he's got the radio spots, and he's like, if you guys are just joining us, we're joined by Brian Fullerton with Brian's Law Maintenance. Like, because he's like, new listeners keep joining, so he like had that he had to eventually shake because podcasting is a little bit different than radio, obviously. But it was so fun having him over, show us the ropes, and then he's like, all right, good luck. I'm like, what do you mean good luck? And he's like, I think he had just went to like 3 days a week. I think he was just dropping a show a week maybe. And I think he went to like 3 days a week. And I think a year or something like after that, who knows? He went daily, which is why he's almost had 1,000 shows in like 3 years, which is awesome.
What a commitment.
That is a wild commitment. Great job, Paul. So for sure, sincerely, that's wild. So we started running the podcast. I think we recorded like 6 or 7 episodes. We dropped it, I think, like basically end of February, first part of March, 2020. Well, the world ended like a week before. And then we're like, well, that's exciting. Nobody's now going to be listening to this podcast equipment that I just dropped $1,500 on. Nobody can work because everybody's forced shut down or delayed. So I was like,
and we got pregnant.
We did get pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know any timeline anymore. My brain's fried.
We had our miscarriage right before LAL, and then we were actually pregnant at that LAL and didn't know.
Yes, that's true.
And then,
I do remember that. Okay.
Because then you started recording like a fiend because you're like, we're gonna have to pre-record all these shows because we hadn't done a season with the podcast yet.
And I was still in the field.
And
I was still in the field, hardcore. Mm-hmm. Still in the field. It seems like, no matter how many people you hire, but that's a whole other story.
We're not talking about that in this episode.
So the team's doing great. It's just been a tough week.
No, they're not. They're limping.
They're limping.
I'm not going to say who, but somebody's limping.
Don't let your team buy motorcycles. Okay, folks. Okay, let's keep it going. So we launched the podcast in spring of 20. The world ends. But that was like on the show. He's like episode like 12 or 15. And he's like, it's going to be a great year. Like literally the next week, the world ended.
Oh, I remember that.
And everybody was freaking.
It seems like such a long time ago.
It does, but it was like yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's always funny, like you remember timelines of like life with your own personal events, like a kid or a marriage or, by the way, shout out to Kyle and Chloe Parks. They had their baby.
Yeah. It's Malin?
I couldn't even tell you. I
it's
didn't
Malin.
get that far. He sent me a photo late night, and I said congrats to them. I think they're doing well. It looked like big smiles on their face. And do they have a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Girl. That's all. That's so cool. Good for them.
Hopefully we're next.
Yeah, right. So, but I didn't know like what would happen with the podcast. I was like, this thing. Should I be doing TikTok? Because like Paul's like, I got 50,000 followers, and B&B's like 30,000, 50,000, 80,000, and I'm like, crap. Maybe these guys are gonna be millionaires with social media, and I'm like, no, dude. Like I'm gonna talk to my people about laying stripes, like and why you lay stripes so well, and who knows, right? So we did. We started dropping a podcast episode Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think we've always been pretty true to that. And it went on for, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months. And Paul started doing these summer tours. And he came up here and he's like, he was doing like, I don't know, 12 or 15 podcasts and tours or whatever it was with like, Echo. And some people were sponsoring it. And I said, hey, if you're already going to come up to Michigan, I think we were on the tour. But I said, hey, if you want to get some more podcast episodes, maybe we had our podcast obviously by then, I guess. And I was like, hey, I'll just bring a bunch of my lawn care. But didn't we at that time?
We had to have.
We had to have because that's when it all started.
I must have been pregnant.
Yeah. I
don't remember any of this.
So Paul was recording the show. All I remember is Paul was in the studio, quote unquote, right, my studio. And he was uploading them to Mr. Producer. And I was like, and there's a lot of like, trash talk behind the scenes about Paul having a producer, which it's like saying you have a YouTube editor. It's like saying you have an office admin girl at your shop, for lawn care.
Brian thought that Paul made Mr. Producer up as like a character.
I did, because I've made characters up on YouTube. I mean, they're real people, but like they're characters in the movie, the show, like on the YouTube channel, right? Like, and characters come and go, and things change. So like I was like, man, Paul like really has this like radio personality, and Paul's radio personality is way bigger on the radio and on the podcast than it is in real life. Like that's a compliment. Like the way he is on radio, he carries himself so much different, like so much, I don't say better. It's just like the dude's made for radio and for podcasting. Like, and it's always a fun listen. And I was like, who is this Mr. Producer guy? And there's a whole story about where Mr. Producer came from. Not like from the womb, but like they were coworkers and all this other stuff. Well, Paul's probably gonna do his 1,000th episode. Hopefully, he goes into some of these details. If you like triangulate and like timestamp both, you can see like the parallel paths, right? But long story short, Paul does his like 10 podcast episodes. I darn near killed a guy, like kill his voice. I'm like, you want some honey lozenges?
They were putting in the concrete here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because he lived in like a newly built complex, so when we moved in, they didn't have sod.
There's skid steers running up and down this place.
That weekend, they decided that they're putting in concrete, like the final layer of concrete.
All the plants, the landscaping.
Yeah. And Paul's trying to record his like big deal,
sponsored shows.
And he has the garage open because he's like, no, it's good ambiance. And we're like, no, Paul, shut the garage.
Well, like if he would have just recorded the show, like all you'd hear in the background was like beep beep, like very very subtly, was the skid steer. But Paul, like he's got the attention span though of a gnat. I love my boy Paul, but like, dude, if something happens, he's like, what's that about? I'm like, Paul, just focus on the show. Skid steer went by 100 times, and it's like Paul, it's a skid steer, bro. Like, and he's just like he's just an excitable person. Like, so am I, by the way. So anyway, like Paul goes, well, that's the last time I'm coming to the Fullerton cast. So I think that was the last time he was here. Besides LAL.
He comes to LAL, yeah.
For sure. But by the way, that was the epic, probably like episode 30, 40, 50, where Paul tells the story about his airplane ride up here. The most epic story that's still, I feel like, ever been told on a podcast.
I was so surprised you talked about it.
Well, it's like we do a banger episode for 20, 30 episodes or 20, 30 minutes. And then I'm about to shut it down because I don't know anything about carrying a conversation on the podcast. And he goes, hey, Brian, can I tell you a story? I go, dude, I don't care, I guess. Like, sure, dude. And he tells the most self-deprecating, grotesque Like, dude, you shouldn't put that out there in the ecosystem.
Are you sure you want me to?
The internet's forever. Story that I maybe if somebody knows what episode, we can plug it like in the thing or tag it on IG. But the last 15 minutes, all I did was like, I didn't even rebuttal. I didn't say anything. I just was like,
didn't know what to say.
my mouth was on the floor. My jaw dropped.
You
I was
guys
like,
have to go and listen. Well, we have to find it.
It's
you
a
guys
funny-
have to go listen. It's so you had it. It's
as
so
funny as the story is, being there in person when I picked him up and the story that he tells and me, like my expression, I remember him getting in the car going, what the hell is that? Like, and that's where we're going to leave it. It was the funny, because I was like, God dang it. That is disgusting.
Something about that man, though.
Something
and, like,
happened.
Recording a podcast with Paul, though, it can be very interesting because you're right. He's excitable, distractible sometimes. But then other times, like I remember the first Hype House, I'm sitting down and like recording an episode with Paul.
Nothing.
No, it was fine. It was a
Oh.
great, whatever. Like, we're just having a conversation. And then all of a sudden,
He just leaves.
He puts his hands on. He's like, well, I have to go poop. I was like, what? I thought he was joking.
Well, I remember the one time.
No, he just straight up ends,
just leaves.
ends the podcast and then goes poop.
There's times where he just like leaves and then he's like, carry the show.
I know, he's done that to me
like,
before. And I'm like,
okay.
Paul, I don't know. I need like,
I remember
I'm not that good.
Together in the Trades 2022, last year, we were in Nashville, and Aaron Sutter, not Sutter, Aaron, is it Sutter? No, Aaron Strunk.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Strunk, Aaron Sutter's Lansing.
Yeah.
Aaron Strunk. There's a show that Aaron did that came out, I don't know, 6 months ago
Didn't
now.
you do it with somebody else?
No, it was him solo.
Wasn't it?
I remember walking out between one of the speakers changes, and Aaron is just sitting there talking on the
dropping
show,
bombs.
and I'm like, is he like just doing like a fun little like hit, like knows how to hit record and just like bombing a show and like really quick? And I look at him and he's like blinking, like he's in trouble, like he's just like, help me, I don't know what I'm doing, and he's trying to carry this pie. Paul's gone. Paul's like going to get a sandwich or Dunkin' Donuts, coffee, and poor Aaron.
It's because Paul's so good that he doesn't realize like.
I mean, he does need a daily show. He's like, I just need content. Aaron, talk to the people. Talk to the people. I just remember like Aaron going, so guys, I'm Aaron and I cut grass. And Aaron's like, not a podcaster, quote unquote. And it's not that hard to do, but Aaron's like, anyway, it was a funny story.
Well,
So
it is weird when you first start talking to yourself.
it really is. Like, so many people refuse to do solo podcast episodes, if you will. Like half of mine are guests, half of mine are solo. That's what we try to do, tit for tat. Like one. We try to alternate it, change it up. And
I'm not one of those people. I cannot carry a conversation by myself to myself. Like I will talk in circles if I did a solo show. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. I just I usually
Like I would never make a point. There's nobody else there to keep me
I
on
was
the
gonna say,
rails.
what's your point? No. I don't know. I feel like I've done a pretty good job at storytelling on YouTube, like 750 videos later. So there is like a character arc and a story arc and all that mess. And I really enjoy that stuff. I grew up watching Casey Neistat on YouTube, and I really studied, storytelling. I feel like I could do a lot better, of course. But when I do solo shows, if there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, it follows a story arc every time because that's all I know how to do, is tell stories. And I learned from Jeff Joyner. He said, if you want to be wealthy, learn to tell stories. I heard him say that at a seminar a decade ago. And I was like, I'm going to get good at telling stories. And
Well, you learn from one of the best. Jeff is great.
Jeff is the best storyteller I know. And literally the podcast is just us telling stories. And it's like, hello.
Jeff and Kathy will be at Together in the Trades.
This is true. By the way, get your hotel if you didn't, because we got an email from the hotel saying we still need to sell. We do have ours for 3 nights at the hotel. We need to do the few nights before.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to the timeline because Sushi will probably be here before you know it. And I don't want to like leave this thing halfway. So interesting story. Paul's in the garage. We're recording all these shows. He's uploading to Mr. Producer. So I get to meet Mr. Producer, Marty. And I said, can I get some help? I was doing 60, 70 episodes in. Mm-hmm. I'm like editing them on GarageBand, trying to interject ads. I have these like hotkeys on the keypad thing on the podcast that you can like hit and, record them.
Applause or...
Yeah. So you can change them out to like ads and all that stuff. And it is really cool. I mean, it's kind of like designed to be a one-man band, like the guy that's like playing the piano and he's got the drums on his back and he's got the like cymbals on his knees, and he's playing the ukulele. It's like, that's a talented dude. That's how it kind of feels with the podcast when you're doing it solo. That visual right there is Jeremiah Jennings, by the way. Like that's what he's doing. So like when we say like, please support the show or hit like or leave a review, like Jeremiah's out there like clang, 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 making, he's like the guy in the corner with his hat out for like, to throw $1 in there. It's like, dude, throw $1 in there. Like help the dude out, like support him. And ours is no different.
I didn't even realize they didn't have Mr. Producer.
No, he's still doing it like by himself. He's just making it up as he goes. I mean,
good for him.
Yeah. Is the sushi here?
I don't know.
We might have to take a quick commercial break. It looks like it could be because I have a Ring doorbell, unless that was FedEx or UPS or Amazon or something.
Oh no, there's a man standing there with a bag.
All right, well, let's do this really quick. Let's take another commercial break, and then let's actually, ironically enough, with Mr. Producer, he can help us produce the show, so he can interject again. We're gonna go eat dinner, and then let's come on back because there's a lot more fun story to tell, and we're gonna get to where we got today and where we're taking the podcast in the future. So, Marty, let's do a quick commercial break, and we'll come right on back.
We've got the goods. If you're looking for one place to find all the gear, you need to jump on Ballard-Inc.com. With over 30 years in the industry and 23 years selling high-quality products, we've got your back. From mower gear, trailer racks, mower blades, safety gear, and so much more, you'll find everything you need to maximize your efforts and protect your gear in one place. And let's not forget about the new Carbide Tungsten Gold blades that'll have you wondering why it took so long to get these to market. Make sure to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at checkout. We've got a bunch of new gear coming soon, so make sure you're following Brian and Ballard to stay in the loop. Head over to Ballard-Inc.com today and get geared up.
All right, guys, so we are back, and let's button this thing up in a short, timely fashion because Grandma's actually still over. And after thinking a little while, I think she starts invoicing you. You know what I mean?
She should.
So really quick, we met Marty, Mr. Producer. I did call him up. It is a fun story to tell. I do really appreciate all of his work. Like 430 episodes have been with him. 450, let's say, 420, 450 episodes, which is a huge commitment. Like he's never missed a beat. He's had COVID. He's been sick. He's had life stuff, and I'm sure
he's worked with us. Like
we're
not the easiest.
No, we are not. I do try to be somewhat respectful of his schedule.
Yes,
and get things.
We really do respect and appreciate.
Except for this episode, it'll come out late, probably. But he's got some deadlines that he says, hey, if you want to show up, get it in at this time. And we've always tried to be respectful, no matter life, working late, guys calling off. I got to go mow 38 lawns today and work till 9 o'clock. Like there's times where we're coming home, recording an episode, and going back out with the guys. I'm like, hey, I'll be back in 45 minutes. Just wild stuff to just try to like stay as consistent as possible. But I do really appreciate when he picked up, because his golden voice on the ads is like the same golden voice on the phone. It's like talking to Morgan Freeman. It's legit. It's the coolest thing ever. I'm like, is that really your voice? Like, how? It's like Lauren Daigle that knows, like she just can sing, and I'm sure at 5 or 8, 10, 12 years old, she's singing in the shower, singing at church. And you're just like, dude, that kid's got a voice. And I'm just like, how do you get that like special skill or talent from God? Like that would be, why didn't I get that talent? I'm still trying to figure out our talents. I'm like, I think I need to be an entrepreneur because I need to just learn a bunch of skills. So maybe my talent is, we don't know still. Still figuring out the calling part, right? But it was a really fun conversation, and I really do appreciate Paul Lincoln be up with him. Swear to God, there goes a skid steer down our street. It all comes full. They're redoing all the landscaping again. It's been 2-3 years, so another skid steer is going down the road. But I really do appreciate Marty, picking up the slack because it was hard to produce the shows and be in the field and do everything. He's like, hey, for a price, if you want to hit start, hit stop, I'll produce the show, mix in the ads, work with some of the sponsors, whatever you want me to do. If you want to do more, it's going to cost more. If you want me to do less, it'll cost less. It's, it's obvious. It's pretty proportional. But the quarterbacking of the show, I wouldn't, I don't think the show would go on after that first year or so, long term, because we're not making like $1 million with the show. It's not. It's just not. I wish it was. We derive some income off of it with the ads that play. Mr. Producer's covered with that, and then there's some margin there for profit. But all that goes right back into traveling, headsets, all this other mess. And so we're not trying to I guess I wish I was a better businessman with a podcast. But I'm like, dude, I have 17 plates. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a podcaster. It's like we're not like learning how to monetize each thing and make $1 million off of each one. We should just be beauty bloggers and sell stuff, sell clothing. That seems their merch. But I digress. But I'm really grateful for his partnership. I don't want to gloss to the end of the line and just, hit fast forward 30 seconds without saying, hey, thank you to Marty, Mr. Producer. I think we thanked him really heavy on like the second 200th, 300th episode, whatever it was, or 250th episode, whatever it was. But there wouldn't be a podcast without him.
No.
I don't think I would have stuck with it. Not because I didn't have more stuff to share or stories to tell or things like that, but
there's just a lot happening. There's,
if you're trying to accomplish this stuff, you need to build a team.
Yeah.
And
we talk about that in your business. You shouldn't be doing it all.
And in 2021, we ended up hiring a lot of people and subbing out a lot of stuff so we can keep all these spinning plates moving. And people are like, how do you get so much stuff done? I'm like, well, I'm methodical at doing the couple things that need to move the needle forward. But man, we were trying to get better at building a team all the time to sub out all the other stuff that I shouldn't be doing and that people can do better at. And every time I get Corey Ballard on the show and talk to him, I'm like, he's always like, build a team, dude, keep building it, build a team, build a company, like find better people than you. And that was the show, I think on Wednesday, actually, go figure. Along the way, we met a lot of great friends, friends before the podcast, friends during, because of the podcast, and hopefully friends way beyond the podcast after, who knows what we're all going to be doing in 5-10 years. Maybe there'll be another platform or another medium, or maybe we're not doing social media. Maybe we're doing something else. Who knows? But there's been so many great friends made along the way that I think we've been able to go from casual acquaintances, comments on YouTube, whatever you want to call it, or at an event or at a Quip Expo to making real good friends. I mean, hundreds of guests on the show.
Is that how you really became friends with Almonds? Didn't you go down there for a podcast or was it a video?
I went down there for a YouTube video.
Okay.
But I think we're just Instagram friends, quote unquote, whatever that means. And I was like, hey, these are real people. I think they're really cool people. I said, I want to go just film a video with them. And to me, they're a big fish. I was like, they had 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers. I was like, they're a big fish. And I don't even think my Instagram was 7,000-8,000. You
were so late to getting Instagram. You did not listen to me when I was like,
I should have did it 3 years earlier. That's when Instagram was like the TikTok back then. So, and so that's what put the fear of God in me of like, should I do TikTok or podcast? TikTok or podcast? I'm like, I'm really glad I chose the podcast.
I think it fits you better.
Well, I just think, well, the mission was always make an impact. And it
doesn't have to be one or the other either. I'm not saying it had to be one or the
other. No. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to fund the message. Like the mission is the message, and you have to fund it, right? Like if you don't fund the mission, if you don't,
is that Jay-Z?
No.
Oh, I thought you were quoting.
No, I think that's a pastor. Like there's a pastor that said that. That's why you pay your tithe to your church and so much more. But you have to fund the message. Like that's the mission is the message, and that takes funds. Like it doesn't get out there without the money, and people are like, oh, I don't want to give to the church.
Are you sure it's not from a rap video?
I don't know.
It's either church or Jay-Z. Which in Brian's world is pretty close.
One pretends he's Jehovah, one is Jehovah. So I got nothing. Yeah, a lot of Jay-Z quotes. I grew up on Jay-Z and 50 Cent. What do you want me to say? They both say a lot of good stuff. One of my favorite books is Decoded by Jay-Z. It's a really good book. It's deep. So any which way, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes in the Fullerton brain than just what you're hearing. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot more going on in the content and the platform and the message and all this other stuff. Like there's layers to this stuff. Like depends on how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go. Look at all the sunburn, by the way. Holy crap. Yeah. I'm flaking like crazy.
You should wear sunscreen.
I should have. Last week was 85 degrees. We're installing 32 yards of 34 yards of mulch.
Stop.
I got the snake skin thing going. Okay, so that's gross. So where do we go from here? We met Mr. Producer. We stayed pretty consistent. We made a bunch of friends. All the guys that have been interviewed on the show, I'm still friends with them. I text everybody, once or twice a year at a minimum. We're all buds. All the guests. Had some great guests on. My gosh, the amount of stuff that we've learned from the guests. How do you quantify it? Where do you start? I don't have the words to articulate how thankful, how grateful I am for all the friends and people that have been on the show. I don't know, let's just say each show's an hour. That's 500 hours of free content. I would have to imagine there's 500 hours of in school learning to get your bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's so cool because the guests aren't compensated on the show.
I mean, I don't think so.
But
I always say you can leverage my platform. What you do with it after that is up to you.
Yeah, but you have to think they're telling their story. A piece of their soul is on this episode.
It's so cool.
Their podcast episode.
It is really cool to document your story.
Yeah,
you're part of the internet forever. When we hit publish, really it is never going to go away. Some deep dive little corner of the internet will always have it translating, transmuting, broadcasting through the ethos forever, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, until Chat GPT comes to get you.
You're really mean to Alexa, not me. I say I'm sorry to the robot overlords, as Caleb Allman says,
shouldn't have Alexa
all the time. So any which way, met so many great friends along the way. Super thankful, super grateful for that. Along the way, I think a lot of people started a podcast once they saw like Paul do it, myself do it. Not that we were anything special, but I think it gave people a lot of belief and hope that they could run a podcast.
like if Fullerton could do it, I could do it.
But I'm dead serious because the Almonds, like Caleb Allman said on a recent podcast, you were the inspiration for him to start. Well, maybe not the inspiration, but the final like motivation to start it. You're like, no,
I
dude, Brian
him
just
talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, really do it.
Well, he said you specifically, so I don't know.
Oh, me?
Yeah, at the Hype House.
Oh, hopefully it was a nice encouragement and not a like.
I think it was. Yeah, he was like what Liz Fullerton told us to like go for it, and I was like, I don't know what Liz said, but she's really encouraging like that, and I think maybe just to start stopping Mr. Producer. We're like, no, it's actually a lot easier than you think. Like, thank God. Now, still,
I think it fits Caleb's personality really well.
It really does. I mean, I think Caleb should have a couple different shows going on, in my opinion. Like, we've talked about that recently, but he's a really intelligent. Him and Brittany both. They're both great. I mean, they both have different perspectives on so many different things. We need like a ladies podcast out there. You're gonna evaluate that still.
Bethany, not Brittany. Bethany.
Yeah. She's encouraging you too.
Yeah.
Our social media help and so much more.
I mean, Brittany too. Brittany. Yeah. And I talked about it before.
Until I poo-pooed it.
Brian poo-pooed.
Because I'm a Debbie Downer. I'm a pragmatic.
If you need encouragement, come to me. if you need to be told not to do something, go to talk to Brian.
Well, yes and no. I'm just like, look, dude, so many people make success look so much easier than it is, and it's hard. It's so hard. And it's also so simple. But that's like the thing. Like you make it complicated. So that's why I'm always like, I don't know you. I'm like hitting start, stop 3 times a week and spending 45 minutes on the mic. How hard is it to be? How hard could it be? But then like 700,000 podcasts are started a year and 698,999,000 of them fail and only 1,000 make it or whatever, you know, and by the way, what's make it? You know, there's all the stats about like, you know, being in the 1% of podcasts. Like you need, I don't know, it's like $1,000 a month puts you in this category, 10,000 puts you here, 100,000 puts you there. You know what I mean? So like what's making it? If you got 12 people listening, is it making it? I'd say so. Yeah. But again, like if you're like, I want 1 million downloads a year and that's like, I need that metric to feel like I'm making an impact. Well, I will assure you that's probably the wrong metric to measure. So that's when you're like, how many downloads? I'm like, don't know, don't care. How many getting this month? Don't know, don't care. Are we up or down over last month? Don't know, don't care. I don't even text Mr. Producer that. I really don't. I think I noticed a couple of months in the fall, I was like, hey, I think we're down because people are closing up the season, but that was about the extent of the conversation. It wasn't like, dude, we need to hit it harder. It's like,
which is weird because you are a detailed person to not focus on metrics, which is how I know you really do like enjoy this.
Yeah, I really do feel like I'm making an impact out there, and it's hard because you don't really get the feedback that you think that it's a one-way street.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, people can leave reviews, but it's not like YouTube where you can like thumbs up, thumbs down, or like leave a comment. Yeah,
I mean, you can leave a review. That's really helpful. I do read every single one. But like if the evolution of the podcast would be, if I ever could, would be to have 2 or 3 or 4 of my good lawn bro friends on a 4-way podcast. Every episode, you know, just bantering, like some of these like bigger podcast shows that are like productions and guys or girls and like hype house type people or trendy, topics, podcasts. Like those are great. Like like I'm not a good commentator. I'm an entirely different human being when I have 2 or 3 people to banter off of and work with. I'm an entirely different soul in conversation. I really think that's where I excel actually is like in group settings. One-on-one, I'm not really your guy.
I disagree, but you do very well like at Energize. Like that type of thing or LAL.
Yeah, like Energize is way more my element. Not this public speaking on stage, but I can banter and pitch and catch with my friends and really make it a lot more fun.
You're doing Energize again this year.
We are doing Energize. I think Corey Ballard's, I roped him into it so far. We'll see. We're still stacking the deck. Yeah, I can't wait. By the way, yeah, you can get your Equip tickets. Did you know to plug that? Was that where you were going with that? Wow, look at you.
I know.
Moving towards the bag. We have a $65,000 concrete bill. So if you guys want to use the Brian's 10 code or the Equip code.
Giant hole with a lot of concrete in it now.
Yeah, that's true. And
no matter what, if you have to live in it.
We can just put a cap up. We can just put a cap on it and make a bunker. We make Mr. Producer proud. All right. So let's just skate to the end because you guys have been with us for this whole time. Most of you guys have been with us for this whole time. The podcast was always Lawns, Lessons, Life. We wanted to teach a little bit about lawn care. We wanted to give you guys some practical lessons that we were learning along the way, and just talk to you guys about where we were as business owners and a couple. That's the life, and sometimes you have good days. Sometimes you have bad days. I feel like we've really tried to document a little bit of all of it. Here's something that I feel like somebody said recently about Trump, like if he re-ran for office, and right now he's like in the polls, like would lose to Biden in a re-election bid. And Ben Shapiro, I was listening to, he said, everybody's got an opinion on Trump. You either hate him or you like him. Like that's it. Like that needle is not going to move but 1 or 2 points. Independents even independents have an opinion of him. Mm-hmm. Fullerton Unfiltered, you either like us or you don't like us. If you don't like us, I have no idea why. I talk truth. I'm encouraging. And maybe if you have a difference of political opinion, I get it. But so does every single other person around that you work with, and you tolerate them. It's like the grocery store method. Like you don't need everything at the grocery store. Put what you need in the cart. And if you don't need it, leave it on the shelf. And you know what? I don't mind sharing my political opinion. And I don't mind sharing my spiritual opinion. And I don't mind sharing my family first, after my faith opinion. You know what I mean? Like, that is really important to me. And people are like, well, I'm a Christian, so I'm a Christian businessman. I'm a Christian, so I'm a Christian husband. I'm a Christian, so I'm a Christian athlete, right? I'm a Christian, so I'm a conservative, so I'm a conservative husband. I'm a conservative, so I'm a conservative Christian church-going husband, right? Like, that's my belief. That's who I am. That's my value system. And I don't apologize for any of it for 1 second. And so some people like that. Some people don't like that. We could probably get 20 to 30% more views off the rip if I, what's the best way to say it? Like made it more vanilla. Mm-hmm. And that was the idea of the YouTube channel. And that's why it grew really, really, I'd say healthy for 5 years. It wasn't an overnight success, not by any means. That was a freaking grind. And same thing going to 1 million subs. It's still a grind. We're in the desert. We're at 200,000 subs almost. I'm sure in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we'll get to 1 million. Or maybe we have a couple videos that pop off and you get to 1 million in 2 months because that's what happens sometimes with YouTube. And that's fine too. Couldn't care less. At the end of the day, if you like Fullerton Unfiltered, if you like Brian Fullerton and Liz Fullerton, you'll love it. If you don't, you don't. And that's okay. The people that love it, they come to LAL. They're encouraged. It's high fives. We're on the same ship. We're on the same team. If you like that and you enjoy Brian and Liz, you'll come to Together the Trades. It's not a prerequisite that you have to come to like us, but you know what I'm saying? Like people that come to trades aren't like, man, I don't like Brian. Because that's a $2,500 commitment between the ticket, the hotel, and the flight. So if you're coming, if you're participating, if you keep coming back, it's awesome to have you. I just want to say thank you. Like, thanks for letting me be part of your life for a season. I'm sure that one day something might fall out and I offend you, or you move on, or there's now 20 or 30 different lawn care podcasts and you don't listen to us every single day. Awesome. All good. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life so far and today, and hopefully for the next couple of shows if you let us. But you know what? It feels so good knowing that we're able to make that impact on your life for that quick minute that we have you. And I hope that the minute that we have you, or the 30 minutes that we have you, you feel better. You feel inspired, you feel encouraged, and you feel like if they can do it, you can do it. That's the whole podcast. And by the way, we're not a finished product. We're still out there every single day, keeping quote unquote current credibility with you guys, doing the same stuff that you guys are doing. We're in the trenches, digging ditches, mowing grass, blunting the sword. You know what I mean? Learning life lessons every single day, humbling experiences every single day, parenting especially, relationship especially, spinning 6 plates financially especially, having just so much money moving in and around. Like I never expected to be like, I just feel like the supreme, money gun, just shoot money everywhere.
We had one of those at LAL.
We did for the spinning booth.
Yeah.
But it just really does all go back into all the companies and you guys and supporting you and all the message and our team and Rob and Mark and Ryan lately. And we're just excited to be a part of it. Anything that you want to add? If not, we'll...
I have 2 questions.
Well, talk to me a little bit more. What do you think about the podcast? And then where we're going to go? Because you always have like these good stumper questions, but
If they're not simple questions.
Okay. Don't put me on the firing line.
Where do I think that the podcast is going to go?
Anything that you think about the podcast so far?
I think it's crazy how consistent you've been able to stay with it. I would argue that you've been more consistent with this podcast than you have been with anything else we do besides, like, obviously the lawn care business.
Besides putting toothpaste on your toothbrush.
You do put toothpaste on my toothbrush every morning. Just so that I know that I'm the first thing that you thought about.
It's true. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know what that gets us, so yeah, for being consistent. Like, it would, generally speaking, be awesome if, like, you hit 500 episodes and they just give you $100,000.
Or 500.
Or $500?
Yeah. Or
$500,000?
$500,000 should be cool.
It'd be cool, like, if you got, like, $1 million from, like, some fund, you know, but this doesn't exist. So sorry, folks. It's like you can do 500 episodes and not make any money, but any which way.
Do you think you'll do another 500?
I hope so, because I think there's still a lot more in us, in our tank, in our future of where we want to take our company, our life. I think will anybody care? I don't know, but I think, like, documenting just what we're accomplishing is worth documenting. Like, for me, I always say, like, hey, if I got hit by a bus, just give the podcast the Emmy.
You do say that all the time. It makes me cry, but it is really cool. Like,
this isn't like
a little morbid, but it is a little piece of you.
People are like, oh, the podcast is for us, for lawn care guys to, like, win and grow. I'm like, sure. And then you're like, oh, it's for, like, you to hear yourself talk, right? I go, because that's what some people say. Sure. And, like, really, it's for the Brian's Law maintenance of 10 to 15 years ago. Sure. All right answers. But I'm also like, hey, like, I want to document me, like, my life, like, between the videos and the podcast. I truly, sincerely believe, like, you should be able to give this content. And I know it sounds a little pretentious, but, like, I think I've said some really good stuff over the last 3 years. I know I have, because if not, it wouldn't grow to 2.2 million downloads or whatever it's at. Like, people wouldn't keep coming back. So there has to be something there. And I don't say that, like, of, like, pridefulness or pretentiousness or self-righteousness or, you know, whateverness. It's just like, I feel like we've said some good stuff. We all have. Everybody on the show has said good stuff. I feel like if more people listen to the show, there'd be a lot less problems in the planet, and there'd be a lot more money made and a lot more peace and a lot more friendships and a lot more happiness and a lot less worries. And what I get concerned about is that because I'm not Andy Frisella, people don't listen to what we're saying, because I say all the time, nobody listens to anybody in the middle. They listen to the end. And then you're so unrelatable because you're like, oh, easy for Andy Frisella or easy for Tim Cook to say this, or Larry Page on a podcast. And you're like, how do you even get to there? Mm-hmm. But I'm like, we're in the middle doing the kung fu, the business kung fu, you know, and I'm like, actually what we're saying is how you get from unbroke to not broke, to paying off 30, 50 grand, 100 grand in debt, to putting 30, 50, 100 grand in your bank, your savings account, to paying cash for a Tesla if you want, or whatever your car is, or your sports car is. And again, like, I'm a pretty conservative approach. We're not like flash in the pan, guru this, be here tomorrow, or here today, gone tomorrow. Like, we're here for the long haul. I feel like anybody could be happy with the kind of life that we've built. And that's what I'm just trying to encourage people to attain, or more. Which is why I love the show, because we get so many of you guys on the show, and it encourages me to do more. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I hope we get to 1,000 episodes. I know Mr. Producer's probably counting on it. He probably wants to go full time and retire and have a good solid nest egg. And he's got the MPN, you know, the Mr. Producer Network. He's got like 30 shows a week that he's produced. I mean, probably 50 episodes a week. Gosh,
that's impressive.
Plus or minus. I mean, that's.
I'm just thankful he keeps doing yours.
I told him, I mean, he's that valuable to us where I told him, like,
don't leave me up.
No, I've said blank check, blah, blah, blah. I said, stick with me and we'll go to the top. All the way to the top 200, which means I'm at 198. What was your two questions? Let's
Well, you kind of answered the other one. What
was your two shows? Oh, if will I be here 500?
Yeah, and what keeps you consistent? You kind of answered that a little. Like, your why.
What keeps us consistent?
Because I've seen on the back end, like, it's not easy. You know, you might not be doing a show every day like Paul, but 3 episodes is still pretty hefty to consistently keep going all year round. You know, between babies, between snow, between travel, between holidays, between, like, there's a lot that has come up. There's a lot of times you've recorded a podcast at 2 a.m. There's a lot of times that you're talking about taking your podcast board with you tomorrow to record one in the truck in the middle of a workday. Just, so what keeps you doing that?
I guess, I don't know. The only thing that comes to my mind is like, I hope to go down one day as one of the greats.
Okay.
That's it.
What does that mean to you?
Well, so my friend Jay-Z said one. They never quite miss you till you're dead or you're gone. So because of that, I'm done at the end of this song, or whatever the lyric is. So like, you don't really value something when you have it. You really value it when it's not there anymore. Like your spouse. Like if your spouse got hit by a bus and wouldn't be joining you this evening for dinner, you'd probably be a little upset.
I hope so.
I'd hope so. But
I'm sure there's some people that wouldn't.
That's true too. Coming together in trades will help you fix a little bit of that. And if not, we got counselors there, psychiatrists. That being said, like, but how many people are going to go to dinner tonight with their spouse and hate them? They're frustrated with them. They're pissed off at them. They're not happy with them. They're not in love with them. They're not intimate with them. They're roommate level with them. Like I feel like everybody who's ever been married has been through a lot of all of the above. And one way, whether for a day, a week, a month, or a year, it's just marriage, it's just life, it's just a relationship. But like, I guarantee you, if your spouse got hit by a bus and you were still in love, and your spouse wasn't there, no matter what was going on that day, like you would be like, dude, I wish I had like one more time with that person. Like, I just wish I was able to spend time with that person. I do love them. What was I arguing about earlier this morning? Was it really that worth it? Mm-hmm. Right. So like you never miss something until they're dead or they're gone. And right now, like, I just hope that people tell stories about me, I guess, that I was one of the good ones. Like I was one of the great ones, like whatever the hell that means. But like, I feel like it does because there's people all the time that go, it's not like me pouring into you guys. It's you guys sharing the show and saying, dude, you need to listen to this dude. He's awesome. That like still makes me really excited. Like that's probably the only thing that I really probably care about. Like if I had to like have a selfish interest in any of what we're doing, I just hope people say, yeah, he was a genuine dude. And it's tough because like social media itself, like is the arbiter of truth. Like people will like out you or like expose you or like, stick up for you or bash you. And like our brand, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, has always been pretty neutral positive. I went through a bashing phase. Everybody bashed me. A lot of people still bash me. But I think like...
You just don't care anymore.
I just literally don't care. I'm like, dude, you're so stupid. Like if you're bashing me, I pray for you. Like, but I guess at the end of the day, I just hope people say, hey, he was one of the good ones. And you know why Equip is one of my favorite? It's because it's like the thing that fills me up the most is because when you do get them go meet 300-400 people at Energize and it is wild. Like I'm a nobody. I feel like I'm the least qualified person sometimes. And there'll be 50, 80 people that want to shake your hand at Equip, at Energize. We went to the Xmark booth and there was 400 plus people that came and said, hey.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not some country singer. I'm not some anybody. I'm just a lawn care dude. And by the way,
who was it?
Rich Clark.
Yeah.
He said the photo line of the real country singer that was there, and his line was 2,000 people deep. He goes, "Hey, when you really become big time, this is what your line should look like."
Keeping you humble.
He's like, keep hanging in there. I'm like, I had 300-400 people that met me, like, but like that's the cool stuff. That is like the only I think fun thing because it makes me realize like, hey, maybe we are making an impact, and it's always like that. You got two voices on the side of your shoulders, like. One telling you can do it and you're all that. One that says like you're a loser and you're a nobody. It's like the whole like little good versus evil, little two angels, and like the whole like Native American Indian story that was like the story of the kid asking the dad like, hey, which one wins out? Which voice gets louder? Which one wins long term? And the sage was like, whichever one you feed. Mm-hmm. And I've always just tried to get around you guys that say that I'm doing good. Because it feeds me enough to make me believe that we are doing good. And I'm like on the right path, which ironically enough reciprocates right back into helping you guys do good. And like that's my team. Those are my pals. Those are my lawn bros. Those are my friends. And you're part of that story as much, just as much as anybody when you're on the show. It's such an encouraging thing to see where our life has been over the last 10 years that we've known each other, 8 years married, and where life is going. I mean, we're building our dream home. It's insane.
It still doesn't seem real.
It does not seem real. I'm like, you guys are literally going to give me that much money. You guys are dumb. Like the bank. I'm like, it's just wild. So I hope, I don't know if that answers your question, but like, they never quite miss you till you're dead or you're gone. So on that note, I'm done at the end of this song. Like, and Jay-Z retired and everybody missed him and he like came back, and it's like, I don't know, like people talk about Greg Chisholm like he was like Jesus, for the lawn care community. And the dude kind of is and was. Like he started it all. Like he was the catalyst. And now I'm like, hey, maybe one day, like if I didn't do YouTube anymore, like there'd still be this like 13-year-old kid that became this 26-year-old guy that built a $7 million company. And he goes, I was just some pipsqueak little 13-year-old dude, like push mowing in my parents' backyard. But there's this guy that used to make videos and he's not around anymore. And, he's whatever he's doing, But I watched him and he gave me the encouragement I needed to get involved in the industry, and maybe that guy's got a $10 million company employing 80 people and people are getting Christmas presents and buying cars and taking care of their family because of like some little video I did about like leaf blowers. And then he found the podcast and then he came to LAL and he met Corey Ballard or Mark Bradley. And then he met the Almonds and then he met all of you. I think I just hope I'm being used in the right way. And I hope that I'm fulfilling the role that I'm trying to right now at the time. So that's why I try not to get lost in the metrics and the numbers. And I'm not trying to like get more out of it or get any less out of it. I'm just like, hey, people are like, what's your goal? I'm like, just be consistent, man. Just be around. Just hang out. I'm just hanging out with my friends, listening to you guys. So I listen to every podcast that comes out.
You really do.
I love listening to your guys' shows. I listen to people even I don't like. I listen to their shows. And I'm like,
I vouch for that.
I do. I just listen. I'm like, I don't even like that person. I'm like, but I'll listen because I'll listen for everybody because I want to be a good student of success. And I think it's just the last thing I'll say is like, it feels really good to be. One of my favorite movies is Days of Thunder. Cole Trickle, and he's like, I'm dropping the hammer here. He's like, don't you drop the hammer. I was like, I'm dropping the hammer. And he starts racing like crazy and starts, going all in. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that like we're right there dropping the hammer. I feel like we have been, but I'm like, dude, everything we're doing still feels like it's a joke compared to like what we could be producing at.
Yep. And
I'm like, dude, we are such losers compared to what we could be doing and should be doing. And I know some people are like, damn, I wish I was doing like 1/10 of that. And I'm like, dude, we are losers. We wrote a book, took 6 months. I did it literally after midnight. I'm like, who cares? It was totally like draining, exhausting, a crazy hard experience. I'm like, come on, writing a book, so stupid. It took in the consequential grand scheme of themes of life. I'm like, do you know how much more is out there to accomplish?
I think Jordan Peterson was talking about what a shame it is that people don't, like, if you could only see what your potential could be and like how shameful it would be that, like, if you actually compare what you're doing to what your actual full potential is.
That's what I'm saying.
And like how valuable humans are.
Yeah. Like you're so much more capable. And the more we accomplish, the more we realize I'm capable. The more that we realize that we're capable, we end up accomplishing more. And I'm like, dude, we have like 20s of thousands of dollars of payroll that just has to go out every month. And I'm just like, who pays for that? It's a write-off. Who pays for that? And
I don't know, ask the write-off people.
Ask the write-off people. The write-off people. I don't know. The government. And it's just like it's just like
Schitt's Creek for you.
I guess I want Emmy to know like her dad didn't just think small and play small. Like, so I don't know. I love getting around my friends. I love getting around John Pajak and Caleb Allman and Brittany and their wives and of course and Paul Jameson and become more friends with Jeremiah Jennings lately and Savannah, great people. And everybody, I mean, my friend Mike Garvey and Mike G and Christian from CNI. I mean, literally thousands of people. I have thousands of new friends. And I can go anywhere. That is kind of a wild part. I go anywhere in the country. If I need a car, a ride, wanted to grab dinner with anybody, put it on Instagram, I would have somebody in that city in 20 minutes say, dude, I'm 10 minutes down the road. You want to get lunch at Fridays or Red Robin? And I would have friends there. That is the wildest thing to me. Like people that are just so generous and Dude, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody, literally. And it's just so wild that so many people want to be my friend and want to support what we're doing. And I feel like it's just because we've helped them that they want to reciprocate. So it is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Mr. Producer, we love you. We appreciate you more than you know. Thanks for working late night to get this one up. Shout out to all my podcast friends, Cornell Mack, Cedric, Naylor. I'm just thinking like who I listened to just today. Like we've had Tom effing Wheelwright on. The dude's worth 8-9 digits. And if I really want to pursue it, I'm like 2 emails away from Kiyosaki. Like, and we could probably get him. We were like 1 notch away from getting Grant on Cardone. Mm-hmm. I actually pulled the e-brake. I was like, because he wanted a lot. And I was like, no. But he's a hustler. But like we're starting to get like some of those opportunities. And I was like, no, let's just keep it who I like, keep it intimate, keep it relatable. I'm not here to go from the top 200 to the top 20. I couldn't care less. But it is nice being in the top 200 for that visibility for new people that want to find the show. We have Mike Andy's on. We've had Spencer's on. We've had a bunch of great people. Mm-hmm. And they're all everybody's fitting in these little jigsaw puzzle pieces. I'll wrap it up with saying thank you to you.
To me?
To you. Oh. I mean, dude, you're the one that's let me record 500 shows. Sometimes you're going to bed at 9, 10 o'clock and we're sacrificing date nights or intimacy time or, dinners or just cuddling or...
We're having 2 babies in 2 years, I think.
A lot of energy around here. A lot of frustration. A lot of fighting.
I'm so glad we got it.
So it
always finds its way there.
The best part about fighting is making up.
Why does it always go there? It always...
As long as less is life and...
Is that the life part? Or the lessons? It's not the lawns part unless you're... I don't know. Maybe.
I'm not saying nothing that's going to get me in trouble this late into a show. Mr. Producer doesn't need to edit anything more. He's just like slapping some ads. He's like, call it a day. Send it.
Stop talking.
All right. That's all I got for you guys in today's show. I hope you guys are having a great week. For real. I hope you had a great week. I hope you guys are having a great last couple of weeks. I know some of you guys are dealing with some stuff. Trucks breaking down, broken axles, all this mess. Like, dude, we have life. We have stuff every day. I say, what do I say? Weather, equipment, and employees. Pick 2. Because this is like good quality and fast or cheap or whatever it is. Like pick 2. For me, it's weather, equipment, and employees. Pick 2. Yeah. And I feel like every day we've had 2 of 3.
This week's been really rough.
And when you get the Trinity, you better work 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and make $2,500 to $5,000 in revenue or $10,000 in revenue that day. Josh Sutton, he's another dude I see all the time. Andy Mulder. Just so many of these great dudes out there that I'm like, I would never have B&B. I would never have been able to befriend any of these people. Like, ever. It's like a brotherhood, man. So we've had Maryland Roots on and all these different great people. So I just want to say thank you to you for letting me be able to have all these conversations and meet these friends and open up all these doors. It's pretty cool.
Of course. I think what you're doing is very valuable. So
you think so?
Yeah, I think you already know this. I'm extremely proud of you. I respect the crap out of you. I don't know how you do what you do. I see you do it, and I still don't know how you do it. Do you know what I mean? And
no,
I'm really excited that me and this baby get to have you as an example. So
you help me get the Lambo one day?
Yeah, that's Brian's thing right now. You guys, if he sees a Lambo go by, he has like an existential crisis about how he's a loser and doesn't have a Lambo. And oh my God, I have to get it before I'm 40, but it can't be from when I'm 40 because then it's considered a life crisis. So if anybody's got a Lambo, hook up. Let me know.
I need a Brian's 10 for that shit. I need a Brian's 50. I need Brian's 80% off. I don't think there's that exists. I'll probably buy a kit Lambo. I'll buy like a Mustang, put a Lambo
like
body.
If I hear like a car, you know how a Lambo sounds. If I hear that, I like try to turn up the radio or start a conversation just to distract you because I just don't want to deal with the meltdown of the I'm a loser. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, I'm a manic depressive dude for sure. Like all this motivational talk aside, I'm like one day I'm like we're gonna kill it. Next I'm like, oh my God, I just want to take a. It's like it is high highs and low lows.
Yeah, it is.
When you're married to a social media person, oh my God. One minute somebody's like you're awesome, like I like that person, heart pin. Next minute, like somebody's like you're a loser, go kill yourself. I'm like I will find you, I will kill you.
We're so different too because stuff like. I'm able to let stuff go so much quicker than you are and move on. And like,
I don't know
can
why.
have like you, so Brian and I, we need to end this episode.
Food's been here for 20 minutes.
I know. So Brian made a journal our first year of marriage. And
why is you bringing this up?
Because
there's no reason
there's
this
a
is
point.
a good idea.
And so for our first year of marriage, every day Brian wrote something nice. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Like, you know, he gave it to me for our 1 year anniversary and big special thing. And he's like, I had to do it because our first year was so rough. I had to write something down nice about you so I didn't divorce you or kill you. And to me, I'm like, no, our first year of marriage wasn't bad at all.
I'm like, dude, you're
the
literally
way that we like
out
think
of your
about
mind.
stuff or
it
like
was so rough.
go through things, I'm like, no, that wasn't that, like childbirth. I'm like, yeah, no, that wasn't that bad.
I'm like, this guy said.
I forget. Like, I'm like a goldfish, apparently, or I just don't. I don't know. Maybe my rubber band's been stretched farther than yours. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't care what people think, but it's just like, dude, if you have a negative opinion, like, why don't you go do what anybody that you're criticizing has done first? Then you get to share your opinion.
I think you're called a pessimist. And I would be an optimist.
I'm definitely a pessimist, which is funny. People think like I'm Mr. Motivation and like the out front guy and like, you know,
this goes back to the whole, if you need to be motivated to do something, talk to me. If you need to be demotivated to not do something, talk to you. And that's why life lately with Liz Fullerton will never be a thing.
I don't know.
I was going to call the podcast.
Mr. Producer is probably like, God, if I deal with this guy, he's ridiculous. But then again, it probably gives me hope because he also works with Caleb. So if he can work with Caleb, he can work with me. If he can work with me, he can work with Caleb. So you all right over there?
No, I can't stand like the head things on my ears. It hurts. I'm wearing glasses because I'm apparently blind now, and I hate the glasses, but contacts hurt. All
right, that's episode 500.
Anyways, Liz is
epic
talking
special.
again.
We're spinning 17 plates. Hopefully, at episode like 750 or 650, whatever, next year.
At 650, can we talk about the lawsuit?
No, you can never bring that up.
Never.
Literally, it's not a big deal. We'll tell stories like in person if you guys want, but it's wild. That closed out 3 months ago. Like the almonds, like literally called us and congratulated us. Like we told 1 or 2 people only, but guys, like we're regular people, man. We deal with stuff all day long, just like you guys are. We're talking like big stuff and little stuff, but we're still on top. So far, so good. You're like we're a dog on a bone, you know. And they say the dog on a bone don't know he's got fleas. So we'll just keep it going. We're like bulldogs. All right, you good?
Yep.
You look hot. You're about to pop.
I'm gonna pee my pants.
All right, over now, guys. Thanks for listening. Ooh, I got in the truck earlier and Mark takes off his headphones and he goes, oh, and I go, dude, we're both making old people sounds when we get into the truck. We're both like everything we do, we move, we go, ugh. Oh, we take the headphones off. We're like, ugh. And I'm like, he's like 23.
Well,
I'm 36.
Being pregnant around Emmy, she now mocks me when I get up.
Does she go, ooh?
Yeah. She comes over to help me.
If everybody listening in, like next time you get out of the bathtub or the shower, and if you're like, oh, and you like make that noise, it's cold. You're getting old. We're all getting old. All right, over now, guys. Appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for being with us for 500 episodes. And here, I have a cup here of water.
I literally can't
Take
drink
it.
any more water.
Just sit. No, you don't have to drink it. But we're gonna cheers.
Oh well, you can't
all right,
not
here.
drink it.
Cheers.
Otherwise, it's
to 500 more.
Okay.
If
I
you
can't. The mic's in the way.
just figure it out. That was the weirdest sound that's ever come out of a
Give
can.
it to you, Wheezy Bear.
Wheezy.
If you don't know what we're talking about.
I wheeze. It's weird. It's the
so
weirdest health
lucky.
development. I'll probably. Well, I'm not gonna say that. Hopefully, I don't die for like another 60 years. But I do. I've been wheezing lately.
No, I'm not wheezing. That's you being weird with your exhale.
I literally was doing a podcast with a guest. I think it was Adam Chase's, and last week, and I said something, and I go, and like he didn't notice. I just like let it go.
What is wrong with you?
All right, Mr. Producer, we appreciate you. Let's kick it to the ads. Say bye.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. What's that show? Bye.
Are you excited about this upcoming season and making it your best year ever? Still not sure where to start with knowing your numbers and running a predictably profitable business? We want to introduce you to a brand new resource called the Know Your Numbers Profitability and Pricing Calculator, available exclusively at the L'Entrepreneur Academy. We're here to help you understand how to recover your overhead, calculate your man-hour rate, price lawns correctly, budget a profitable margin, and so much more. You deserve to have the best information that you can to help you build your business and run it as profitably as possible. Get a handle on knowing your numbers today with the Profitability and Pricing Calculator, exclusively available at LawEntrepreneurAcademy.com. Hi, I'm Mr. Producer, and one more thing. If you're looking to stay up to date with the latest trends and insights in the world of lawn care, then you need our free email newsletter. It's delivered 3 times a week and includes a Monday motivational to kick off your week, a Wednesday what's new to keep you informed, and a Friday weekly recap of all the content we put out. Join our mailing list to stay connected to the world of lawn care and get exclusive access to the latest and greatest from Fullerton Unfiltered and Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Don't miss out on this opportunity to stay ahead of the curve and elevate your lawn care game. Sign up now with the link we've provided in the show description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.